Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Celeste, featuring a special friend, Mr. Kai. Today, I woke up feeling pointedly crusty. So I figured, hey, let's hop on and do a little bit of makeup, like my daily, everyday makeup. Nothing too crazy, I'm not going anywhere, I just need to do my makeup. And I thought I'd do a story time as well. In my last video, I mentioned something about my scar. I did sort of gloss over the fact that I got into an accident at school right before graduation. Who doesn't love a good story time? Especially when it involves me almost dying. So, stay tuned. See, coffee's a cure-all for everything. I love it, it's great. Also, some of you guys might notice that my face has been breaking out quite a bit. I actually was on birth control for a while, specifically for my acne. I had some pretty severe hormonal acne pretty much all my life, not as a child per se, but my early teen years to late teen years. I'm no longer a teen. What the heck? Like, I feel like I haven't gotten older. Like, my birthdays stopped at 17. I'm gonna be 24 soon. That doesn't feel right to me. So don't mind the breakout. I'm doing the best I can. I have a dermatology appointment tomorrow, so let's see what can be done about that. Anywho, let's get started. Off the glasses go. It's been so gloomy lately. Like, it's starting to get a lot chillier in Chicago, which I love. I love cold weather. Like, that's my favorite time of the year. Fall and winter and early spring are like my faves. All right, where do I begin? Gosh, when did this happen? This happened in May, mid-May to late May, right before my graduation on June 12th. I did graduate. Spoiler. So one fateful night, I was studying with some friends in the International House. That's where we hung out all the time. It was a great time. And I was preparing for my exhibition because I majored in studio art. That was one of my majors. My other major was clarinet performance. So 2 degrees, 5 years. Whew, a doozy. So I was in iHouse with 2 of my best friends, Tamsin and Carissa, and I was just drawing, just finishing up my final touches. And so I was working on that. It was gonna be done the next day because I had my work due the following week, I believe. At school, I was a really well-organized person and I just got everything done that I needed to get done on time. So basically, my sister and her boyfriend were out and then they called me and they were like, hey, why don't we go out and like try out those bird scooters? And these scooters are called bird scooters. They were like, we tried the electric scooters last night and it was so much fun. We should all go out and have some fun. And you know, I thought about it for a second. I'm not the kind of person that will just go out for a little joyride. My idea of fun is staying in, cozied up with a good movie, some snacks, and like maybe another friend. Needless to say, going out is never my idea of fun. But I went anyway. I was like, you know what, Celeste, let's get out because you're being a hermit and a nerd. My friend Tamsin also joined us. Chris, I believe, went home. And this was, mind you, like 1 a.m. or something like that. The buildings were closing by now, so it was about time to like leave anyway. So we're like, let's go out for a little joyride, right? So what happens, we get on the scooter, we get our own scooters. It was fine at first because we were on like flat ground. They go really fast and I should have known what was gonna happen on this next part. Then my sister's boyfriend had the idea and he was like, oh hey, there's a ramp down by like the river area, like it leads down to the river basically, and it's under the school bridge. My sister was like, no, let's not do that, let's not go down that ramp. She was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And I also was like, you know, my intuition, your intuition, dude, like listen to that little voice in your head because it probably could save your life. So my sister and I both had that same instinct. We're like, this is gonna be a bad idea if we go down this particular ramp because we were right there. And it was not until my sister's boyfriend, his name is Chance, I don't know why I keep dodging that, had already gone down without like telling us anything. And we were just like, we're like, he's fine, we're gonna be fine. So he just went down, was just like, shoot, let's go. Against my better judgment, I went and I was like, this is gonna be fine. We're fine. We were on flat ground. The ramp goes like this. He went down and I was right directly behind him the whole time. So I went down thinking I was gonna be just fine. When I tell you how fast they go, we were going about as fast as a car, speeding down a highway. I felt very, very free, almost too free, like up to heaven free. We were going down, and that's when I had that gut-wrenching feeling like something was going to go wrong as I was on this huge scooter. Like, I'm a short person, I'm 5'2". The handlebars for this thing went right up to my chest. So I'm holding on for dear life at this point. I'm slowly pressing the brakes, yes, because if you full on stop, you're gonna fly, which I ended up doing anyways. I got to the point where I was fully holding onto the brakes. They were not working. We were going that fast that the brakes didn't even work anymore. And so, oh God, why did we do this? Every time I retell it, I always kick myself. Like, Celeste, what the heck were you thinking? And my sister was following closely behind, and my friend Tamsin was still like towards the top, so she didn't really go down the slope quite yet. But my sister and I were in close proximity, so we're both kind of going down around the same time. So going down, brakes not working, certain death, because the ramp goes down like this, right? At the end, there's sort of like this curve, but there's trees and like rocks and stuff like that. And so it really could have ended one way or another. And so I'm doing simple math in my head as I'm about to face probable death. My flight or fight was just like fighting against each other. Chance is in front of me, and I guess he like sort of swerved across some rocks or something like that. It was like uneven ground on the ramp. And he's like, oh, be careful, look out, there's rocks here. And that was the only thing that I remember from that moment, because the rest, all I did, I thought, I either jump or die. What did I do? I jumped off the scooter. I let go thinking that I was gonna be just fine, but the scooter is long, right? Like the place where you stand on it. Obviously I was gonna fall, but the scooter sort of took my leg and lunged me forward, and I flew. My sister, the way she describes what she saw when I flew, she's like, if Superwoman existed, it would be you, the way you flew in midair. My gym shoe flew off. It was flung off my foot. Like, if that does not measure the velocity of how fast I was going, like, God. I went really fast. I dove into the bushes, and that was literally feet before the edge of the bridge, and this bridge is over a river. So I very well could have fallen into the river if I was at the right spot. I'm pretty sure I have PTSD from that moment. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So that happened, and it was, you know, a time. It was terrifying. And so I flew into the bushes, and all I remember hearing was, oh my God. And it was Chance's voice. And then my sister, who was behind me, who also ended up falling as a result. But instead of her like falling forwards like how I did, she, I guess, fell backwards. I didn't see what happened, and I wish she was still here. That sounded really bad. She's up at school right now, but I wish she was here in the video to tell you her side of the story. She's alive. So all I remember was just hearing a scream, and it was my sister saying, Celeste, like she screamed. I can still feel the impact. Like if I think about it enough, like I can feel what the pavement felt like on my face. I had basically burned this side of my cheek so badly. I think even now there's like a bit of a permanent blush to it, I like to call it. I was bleeding all over the place. And then I just remember Chance lifting me up, and he was just like, oh my God, are you okay? And I didn't even know what was going on. Like it was that state of shock, like where my body literally went into shock. I didn't even feel the pain really. It took a second for the pain to develop, and I kind of sat up from where I had landed. Chance lifted me up, and then I started feeling something on my hand. I was like, ow, like that kind of hurts. And I didn't look down, and then Chance, he's like, Celeste, your arm. And I was like, what? And I looked down. Imagine me putting my hand out as straight as possible. It was like this, straight. Like I could not lift it up from this point. Like this part, this section was dented down a little further. And I looked down and I was like, I want to pass out. So I was just there, and Tamsin rushed over to Grace because she was on the floor not responding. And I remember seeing her, and I'm like, Grace, I'm like calling her name. Chance left me on the side for a second to go rush over to Grace. And I guess someone called the ambulance at some point. I rushed over to Grace as well. My side was hurting so bad, like I could barely walk. But I made sure to like clamber my way over to Grace. I was just like, are you okay? Oh my God, like talk to me. And she kept repeating her words. It was really bad and her head was busted open and there was like blood all over the sidewalk. Her blood is still sun-dried onto the pavement. Like it has rained, it has snowed already and it is still there. And so she was just there, just repeating her words over and over again. Like she's like, get help, someone help me. She was like in this panicked state that I really thought that she was going to die. Like I was more concerned about my sister than myself. I just remember talking to her and making sure she was okay. And what happened next freaked me out because it only made it feel like it could have been the end for her because she started singing worship music. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Christian and so is my sister. My family's Christian. At that point, we had not been going to church very often because it was just like, oh, we're at school, we don't really have time. But she started singing worship music and I was freaking out at that point. I'm like, Grace, what are you doing? Then she just starts saying, I love you and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, no, like, don't do this to me, please. Like, not to her, but just like life, don't do this to me. For our whole family, because this is not what we can handle right now. The ambulance comes, the paramedics were there and they were, okay, these men were fine, okay? And these paramedic guys were like, are you okay? I'm like, now I am, but they were just asking me questions like, where do I live? What's my address? What day is it type of thing? And I had to think for a second. Grace, when they asked her, she was spitting it out like rapid fire and it was incredible. I was like, she must have hit her head the right way because she's never this quick on her toes. The whole time, by the way, I was just worried about how much this would cost. As the older sister, you're just like, my mom is gonna kill me. Like if this didn't kill me, she's going to kill me next. And so I'm like literally telling the paramedics, I'm like, my mom is gonna be so angry at me. And they're like, no, don't worry. Like she's gonna be just fine, I'm sure. I'm like, no, you don't understand. She's Hispanic. They just started laughing. They're all white, but they were like, don't worry about costs or anything like that. You're gonna be just fine. The important thing is that you're okay and that you get checked out. We're gonna take you to the ER. I didn't care about any of that. Like when I tell you, I was so worried about how I was gonna cover this, how everything was gonna work, and like what's gonna happen. It was probably the most anxiety ridden I had ever been for that reason alone. I mean, of course, my arm, like this is who I am as an artist. Like I need my arms, both of them, but this one in particular. It was a nightmare and the paramedics, they had brought us inside of the ambulance, gave both of us like a really uncomfortable neck brace. And Grace remained calm. She kept saying, I love you periodically, which scared the heck out of me every time she said it. And I'm like, I love you too, but please don't say it like that. I had no idea what was gonna happen. We get admitted to the ER, long story short. I'm on one of the beds and my friend Tamsin comes into the room. She's like, you okay? You okay? And I'm like, yeah. I was crying. Like it was such an emotional time. I'm like, is Grace okay? Is Grace okay? Everyone was like, we don't know yet. We're just making sure. And I'm like, it was the unsureness of it that made me so scared. Got a call from the residence hall director and I specifically told her, I'm like, do not call my mom. It was like 2 a.m. at this point, but I got a call from my mom. That happens, but calls were over and they did some x-rays on me and it turned out, yeah, that I had broken my arm in multiple different ways. I was like, please, why? The whole time I was just mad at myself. Like, how could you let this happen, Celeste? Like, what possessed you to do this? Like, you don't have fun, you study. Like, these were like real conversations that were happening in my head. And I'm like, yeah, I do only study. What? Why did I go out and have fun? It was the one time I went out and had fun at night. I don't do that. So we were discharged that same night. Tamsin was by my side the whole time. Gosh, that hospital room with Tamsin and I was just, it was a time. We were just talking about everything and still she managed to make me laugh. So thank you, Tamsin, for being by my side the whole time. Chance basically drove us back to campus. Grace, I kept asking like, is Grace okay? And she was okay. She had gotten staples into her head, 8 staples. But anyway, we headed back to campus and then we were all super hungry. And so we stopped by a Quick Trip, which that's like one of the things I miss about Appleton. Like, I love Chicago. Chicago will always be my home. But if there was one thing that I would take with me from Appleton, it's Quick Trip, okay? So we went to the Quick Trip, got some food, and we're just in the car like, how did this happen? Then we went back to campus. We called campus safety, let them know what was going on, basically, and they were like, oh my goodness, hope you're okay. I love my school's campus safety. Like, they cared about you, genuinely. We were guided back inside of our rooms, and we decided to take a shower. We're like, we're gonna sleep the whole day anyway. Let's take a shower, get all this blood off. We were covered in blood still. They didn't wash me off in the hospital, which I felt kind of like, okay, like they didn't even wipe my face off. I was like, bruh, are you serious? So she was like, no, we need a shower now. We went to the showers and there were these 2 girls in the dorm. They're like, they looked like they had seen ghosts. We looked straight out of like The Walking Dead. They were like, oh my God, are you guys okay? And we're like, yeah. It's okay, we got into an accident, but we're doing okay. We just got out of the hospital. And they were like, if you need anything, please let us know. And we're like, we're good, thank you. And I'm like, sorry to scare you so early in the morning. It was like 5 something, I think. Man, what a time. But luckily all the girls on our floor were like super sweet and really nice to us. So then we finished our shower, we sort of sauntered to our rooms. We had lofted beds in our dorm, so we had to bring those mattresses down. We didn't do it ourselves. We had Chance and Tamsin help us out, and they really took care of us. They were in our room, you know, just like with us. Tamsin slept over and she was just there. Like, if I needed something, she got it for me, and she was just sleeping beside me and Grace, and it didn't feel real at that point. I was really emotional the whole time because also like, I don't want to cry again. What the heck? Like, it's been so long. I just remember feeling very robbed from finishing the term how I wanted to. Yeah, it made it really hard to do my art. I couldn't do my art. My hand was stuck in this position with this fat splint. Like, it was a huge splint, so I couldn't even hold a pencil with my left hand. And I was like, God, how do I do this? What do I do? I really don't know, but it was a life-altering experience, truly. If there's something I learned throughout this whole experience, was to not take my gifts for granted. I say that I've taken my gifts for granted because for a while now I've been really dissing music. My relationship with music has always been sort of love-hate. I've always been good at it, told that I'm very talented at it, but I think my high school years I was a lot more on fire for music than I was in university. For that reason, I was always just like, I don't even like clarinet anymore. Why am I even majoring in this? And I would genuinely say that. It put it in perspective for me, like this situation, and some of you all might be like, oh my God, it's not even that deep, but to me it is. Like, I've been given this gift to play music, a gift that I loved for a long time, and now I'm in this state of hating it. Like, I truly didn't even want to look at my instrument. I was like, ugh, I'm so done with clarinet. Let me just do art for the rest of my life. And it was me sitting in, laying in my state with my broken left arm, being like, I have 2 gifts. One is art, making my art as beautiful as I can. I mean, here's some of it right now, hanging up. I have all this beautiful art that I can make, right? And I've got music that was given to me and that I've spent so much of my life working on. And it really made me reflect in that moment that I really took that for granted. And I'm like, I really should not be hating it as much as I am, or have been at least, because all I want to do right now, and I was thinking that as I'm laying there, I'm like, all I want to do now is be able to hold my instrument. And I cried. I cried because of that. I was like, I will never do that again. I will never take for granted what I have been given, the talents that I've acquired, for the simple reason that it can be taken away at any point. And it's out of your control at that point. Hindsight's always 20/20. But now I'm able to move my hand. This really could have ended a lot worse. And I am so grateful every day that I'm able to still hold an instrument, to still do things with my left hand as I speak to you guys. It was funny because I had canceled my super senior recital. I already had all my required recitals and everything, and I got that done the previous year for my actual senior year. So all of that was done, but my professor was like, oh, why don't you do a super senior recital? Which I was like, love that idea. But no, at the time, this was well before my accident, but I ended up canceling it just because I wanted to focus on my art more, my super senior exhibition. But yeah, so I was like, in a way, grateful that I had canceled it well before this accident, because if I had it scheduled, I wouldn't have been able to play anything and I would have had to cancel it then and there. Yeah, with that being said, I emailed all my teachers that same night and I was like, I'm not going to classes. I can't do anything right now. And they were all super accommodating and super understanding for me. And I'm really grateful for my professors, all of the ones who worked with me on this. I'm not crying. I really need to compose myself because this makeup costs money that I don't have. Also, it's kind of cold, so I have my chunky sweater. So going back to the whole thing about me feeling robbed, it was both the art and music part that I was robbed on, but I really felt particularly so for my end of the year ensembles. I still did have my final concerts, like for orchestra and band. I was in the wind ensemble, I was principal clarinet for a couple of the pieces, and same for orchestra. And those are some parts that I was really looking forward to playing. I was like preparing, you know, the whole term, like, oh my gosh, what a way to end my super senior year, right? So I was definitely looking forward to those things. And so I felt just really like useless at that point. Like I couldn't do anything. And there wasn't anything I could do for the music part. That was just something I had to live with and kind of get over slowly. It was hard because I was just really looking forward to it, but it was something that was out of my control ultimately. But I guess on a brighter note, quite literally, I was able to watch my final concerts and just be there supporting everyone and kind of playing vicariously through them in a weird way. At that point, I had gotten surgery already done. I was in a splint and a sling. But what was nice about it was that for the final concerts I was there, I was still, you know, recognized as one of the super seniors leaving. Because every year they do this thing where they recognize all the seniors who are graduating at the end of the year. So luckily I was, you know, able to be recognized there and brought up on stage, and I was still a very small part of it, but it felt good to sort of end like that. And it was funny because I was invited backstage by my band director, and he's like, okay, we're gonna call you, you know, to go up on stage and stuff like that. So just wait backstage for the time being. I was like, okay. This was during an intermission, so I was just there and they were about to go back on stage for their final piece. And so I went backstage and I was waiting, and then as people are like filing through and going back out, they all saw me and they were like, oh my gosh, Celeste, are you okay? And they were just like, it felt so good to be missed, you know? All of them were just so kind to me and they were like, Celeste, we miss you. I hope you're doing okay. Oh my gosh, Celeste. And then just like all of them, like one after the other, it just almost didn't even feel real for a second. I was like, all these people actually miss me. It like touched me. So like I felt really loved in that moment, and you know, going up on stage for a last hurrah was like definitely worthwhile. So I'm really grateful to have been able to do that still. As for my art part of things, I did finish. I managed to get all my artwork done, or at least to my best ability. I left one of them like half done, but I was able to finish my other main pieces on time. Again, I had such amazing help. The professors there helped me. As students, we're supposed to set up our own exhibitions, right? Our own gallery setting, but I was assisted due to my special circumstance. It really came together in a way that I really wouldn't have been able to do on my own. I could not be more grateful for these people who helped me out in such a way. And the rest of the artwork that I did not finish, I finished with my right hand. I'm such a perfectionist, unfortunately, with my art and other things, mostly with my art these days. And of course, this is not an ideal situation. Obviously, my left hand can do it all, but with my right hand, I can finish it. And so I did. Honestly, showcasing this art is probably like one of my proudest accomplishments thus far for a number of reasons, but the reason I think at the forefront is that I didn't give up and I was able to push through despite my circumstances. Yeah. But I'm back to making art. I finished my exhibition and it was a hit. A lot of people really loved my art, and yeah, it was a pretty surreal experience. So I'm really glad I was able to end on a good note and positively. I never put on my lipstick, what the heck? That's pretty much it as far as like the whole story goes. My teachers were really glad I was alive. I'm really glad I got the surgery done. Now I have titanium in me. Just like that David Guetta song, I am titanium. It's pretty cool. I mean, I was going to hand therapy for a bit actually, but I do still have this scar. It's quite large. But you know what? It is a story. I've learned to actually love my scar the more I look at it, and I'm just like, wow, I made it through that. It's funny because like before this all happened, I always told myself, I'm like, if anything ever happens to my left hand, I need to do everything I can to make sure it's my right hand instead. And so like I even planned it before. I'm like, if a tiger came up to me and wanted to eat a part of my limb, I'd offer my right hand instead. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I fall, it has to be on my right side. But in a weird way, I took this as a lesson, as like, again, to not take anything I've been given for granted. Like if I did just damage my right hand, I'd be like, it's just clarinet. I can still do my art though. But it's given me a different perspective now that yes, my art hand was taken away from me and I can't do clarinet. So it's like that, where I've pieced it together in a very lesson-like format. That was just in my head the whole time. I was like, I can't wait to pick up my instrument again. I miss it. And you know, watching my concert from the audience instead of being in the concert, it really messed me up in a way. I guess maybe that's poor wording, but it opened my eyes and my heart a little bit more and was like, it could have been you up there. And not in a way to make myself feel worse about it, but it was like, this maybe had to happen for a reason, for me to like rekindle my love for music and the joy that it brought me when I was able to make music. So now I can, and I'm glad, and I'm so grateful that I can, and blessed really. As for my sister, she's finishing up her last year of university, so I'm incredibly proud of her as well. But yeah, it was a time. Also, I still have my cast. It's down here somewhere. So I was given this cast for the time being, and you just like tighten it like these like string things and push it in. See, I used to do that and like think I was the coolest person. I'd be like, oh my god, look guys, I'm robotic. I'm such a nerd, I swear. And then to release it, I just break out. But yeah, so that cast made me feel pretty cool, but really glad to be out of it. Yeah, wow, that is my story. That is my accident story, and it was a lot, but I hope you guys enjoyed my story and like the makeup process. I really wasn't paying too much attention to the makeup part of it. I mean, I did the best I could, but this is kind of like a daily makeup look anyway. Not the most amount of effort put in. I think maybe my eyeliner is the only thing I actually put effort in to. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys for today. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? With this lipstick, it always feels like there's like lipstick on my teeth after I apply it. Anywho's, I know it's taken forever for me to get a video out to you guys since I last put one out, but isn't that just like me? I'm a terrible YouTuber, you guys. Like I'm so sorry. But thank you guys for being here for me and waiting on me and being patient. But I do have some videos coming out very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that. I'm planning on doing a sort of like series, a Halloween, what is it, like vlogoween or something? Not really vlogs. I'm not gonna be really doing vlogs, but more so like makeup transformations just for like last minute Halloween ideas. So to make up for my absence, you do have some videos coming your way and are in the process of being edited as we speak. Look forward to those, and yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I had a lot of fun talking to you about all this. I did get emotional throughout it. I don't know why, but it was an emotional time, so forgive me for being a crybaby. But thanks so much for watching, you guys. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in my next video. Toodaloo, take care, I love you. Mwah. Oh. About to drop my phone, sheesh. It's a pretty case. Amazon, $9. But you know what? On AliExpress, they're like $3. Kai! Psst, psst, psst. He never comes when called. You know, makeup didn't come out too bad, considering I was talking so much. You look good. You look good. Do you like my stuffies? They're so cute. I love them. There's Celeste the owl back there. It's me, but as like Animal Crossing character. Pikachu, of course. My Mellow, and then we got a tiny little, it's like a maid Hello Kitty, so she's super cute. You're good, meow. What are you doing? Look at your face, you look so angry. Are you comfy? Anyways, bye-bye.